back to our class, Current Topics in Management. Again, I'm Sean Watts, and today we are talking about life strategies for happiness and success. And so I'm going to be going through a bunch of things, and this image that I'm showing now is very impressive to me, at least. I think a lot of people just follow like a sheep what other people do and say, and they don't look at the big picture. They don't look at even themselves or their environment. So please try to have a big picture and understand that whatever dream and goals and paradise you plan, the sooner you plan out your stairway with many written details, the faster you will achieve that success. So we understand that we need to go through a paper for most students. Kulkano and a few others they have negotiated to do something alternative. We understand what Arthur was just talking about. Reliable information is expert peer-reviewed information, like this information here, but you should be referencing as much information as possible. So for our class, you need 10 of these good journal articles, but then in addition, you can reference some magazines or blogs or Facebook. That's okay. So today, we're going to talk about different ways to live and work efficiently in class and with life. And so I have started, and the TA Hua, I believe, has already set this up as a summary of what I'm talking about. Anybody want to try to share what you think is best so far? Obviously, you're all adults. Obviously, you're all interested in international business and management. You must have seen millions of different things. Any comments? How about we go through and Vincent, can you guess what am I talking about here when I say number one? Find out who you are. What do you understand I mean by that?
I think when I read these sentences, it's what I want to do maybe later or what I am. So sure, I'm a boy and I'm a young boy, and I want to have some success and I want to do what I want to do. So I want to be happy in my life. I want to be free. So I think it's my goal, and I found who I am on asking on when I ask question on myself. It's, it's complicated today to speak English. Uh,
English sucks, huh?
yeah.
Well, the first thing I noticed, the only mistake I heard is you were saying later. And I find that one of the biggest problems for people getting success, and I consult lots of people, is what you just said. That is a problem. Saying my plan later. And people, they have common sense. They know what is successful. They know things that will help them be successful, like saving money or planning for retirement. But that common sense is not done. It's not common practice. They keep saying, oh, I will do it later, and they don't actually do it until it's too late. And so, number one, find out who you are today. And so, what I'm talking about that is this type of stuff. So, everybody should identify what is your passion, what skills do you have, and what does the world care about, right? What's the world going to pay you for? And this is one way that you can go through and see these details. You guys can see all of this stuff that I'm showing now, right? The screen is clear to you? I can't hear you. Can somebody actually say yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. So
but
this
the
is
mind map, it's a bit strange, no? I don't really understand the mind map.
great. Okay, so let's just go through and um, some people think you already know who you are, but I could go through a quiz and kind of prove you wrong. A lot of people don't know who they are. So, this is the simplest way I have created to identify you and identify a career or a future that might match you. Um, This is the same idea, but there's a lot more research into it. This was developed in the 1800s by a guy named Carl Jung, and it's been developed. It's one of the, this guy is basically more famous, in my opinion, than Sigmund Freud. Almost everybody knows Freud, the guy specializing in psychiatry and personality. Well, this guy, Carl Jung, I think he's better. And unfortunately, they were living the same time and they started working together, partnering together, but the partnership didn't work well and they started fighting with each other. And Sigmund Freud basically tried to hide all of Jung's work. So it's not promoted as much as Sigmund Freud. Anyway, you can go through this website, www.humanmetrics.com, and it will tell you about 60 different simple questions. For example, you are almost never late for appointments. Yes or no? And you like to be engaged in active and fast-paced jobs. Yes or no? It's pretty simple. After you answer these 60 simple questions, it will tell you your personality style, and that matches your characteristic style, your ability style, your careers that might match, even who you might be dating or who you should be dating. And it helps identify how you learn, how other people learn differently, how other people communicate differently. Lots of details here. So if we go back to this mind map, I created this for myself when I was like 10 to 14 years old. And so I just took a regular piece of paper and I wrote down on a piece of paper what are characteristics that I love. And so I loved helping people. I like the brains. I like the body. I like intelligence. I like finding answers, sophistication. All of these things I wrote down when I was like 10 to 14 years old. And then after you're finished, go to a friend and get a friend to add to it. Maybe a good friend or your family members to add to it. The more you have, the better. And then switch the paper over and then ask the person to say, okay, what kind of job does this look like? And I went through, and when I was 14 years old, I thought, and everybody agreed, that I should be a medical doctor, get into medicine, chemotherapy, because my father was a medical doctor. And so I actually was in medicine, treating patients. And only later I realized I don't just write down what I like, but I also should write down what I don't like. And I don't like dead people. Sorry. I don't like sad, depressed, dying people around me all the time. I actually was a medical doctor and I treated all of the cancer patients in my city in one morning, and then I had the whole rest of the week off. So I set up another cancer clinic in another city, and then another clinic in another city, and another city, and another city. And I found I liked the idea of just making new offices and treating more people and working with more people. That was better than actually doing the medicine because I could just hire some other doctor for me. And so I encourage you to do this. This is the same idea as this, but Humanmetrics or the Briggs-Meyer typology indicator, that is much more detailed. And if you look at my cell phone, I get the artificial intelligence, machine learning. They will track what news I like every day, and it will send me information that is tailored to what I like. And almost every day, there's a story talking about my personality style and what I can do to be better with my field, or what I can do to be better with other people. So hopefully that answers your question about number one, who you are. And it's today, not tomorrow, not later after you graduate or you're old like me, as soon as possible for all of these things. What about Ulukbek? Madanov, can you guess what do you think number two is talking about?
Yes. We have to find what we are good at, right? In order to find our skills or talent.
Okay, keep going. Why do we care about that? The idea is to get happiness, to get success. Some people say, for example, I like to be an artist, but art doesn't have very much money, so I'm going to go into banking.
Yes.
Any comments? Why should you care? Anybody in class?
Maybe where you are strong. When you say find your skill and your talent.
Yes, the idea, the easiest way to look at many of these things is to look backwards. And so I am focused on trying to get your goals. So if you think of I am down here and I don't have the goals yet, going up the hill is very hard, right? Hiking up a mountain is always hard. But if you're at the top of the mountain, hell, you can lie down and roll down. It's easy. Looking down and making plans going backwards is a lot easier. So if you think about how you have skills, you get skills to do some sort of job. And so if you're thinking about applying to a job, that applying manager, that hiring manager, if he's going to have two people applying for a job, one person is just working very hard because it pays good money. Like he wants to be the artist, but the banking pays more. The other person loves it. What is that person going to see? Or what is a customer going to see? A customer is going to see the guy doing it just for the job, just for the money. Many times they're not happy and they only do the minimum. The other person loves it and loves trying to learn more about it, loves trying to develop it. This person is going to do it 20 hours a day versus this person minimum possible, maybe 8 hours if he's lucky, and then they're going to change and think of something else. So this person will be happy all the time. So the customer's happy, the manager's happy, everybody around him's happy, and the customer is going to be happy. And at the same time, because this guy likes it, he's going to do more of it and develop more. So he's going to get better at it because this guy is not going to want to upgrade. So if you go back and identify your skills, try to think about that with work. That's why some people misunderstood. They say, just do what you love and you will be successful. No, that's not right. You still need to have skills at it and love it, and you have to have the customers or the market need. So align those things together. Align yourself to others and the market. That's what we're talking about with this.
This process is like a Japanese model of success. So they think that success and happiness is a combination of your passion, your what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So I think it's similar to, I don't remember the name. It's like ikagi or something.
Okay, something in Japanese.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories talking about it, but many people simplify it and they make it wrong, just saying, do what you love.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that simple. Try to look into more details. The next thing that we were talking about is manage your time and your money wisely. I will just assume every one of you here, you've heard that you should be investing every month. Every month that you have a little bit of money, you should put some money away, save it for your retirement or save it for your future. But how many people, especially at your age, do it? Most people at your age, you don't. And those people that don't seriously screw up their future because of details that people don't understand. Compound interest, compound magic. So we're going to be talking about those things. And overall, when we started our class, I think some people were saying they just go through life and they follow and they decide on what to do based off of their environment. That is a recipe for disaster. You should start trying to plan your future as early as possible and then write down details every day. Research shows the most successful people not only spend 15 minutes of their day, but they hire other people to help them plan their days and become much more efficient. If you just do whatever is around you and hope for the best and hope to be happy, you're probably going to be torturing yourself. This is just a simple joke. Don't just listen to what other people say. The dog told me the electric socket tasted like tuna, and I almost died. So I want you guys to fight with me, argue with me. What I'm saying here, I think it's common sense. You guys should be aware of almost all of these things. Are you guys aware that Bill Gates and Steve Jobs are born at the same time? You are aware that they're from almost an identical environment? Arthur, you knew that? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, same age, same environment. They grew up, and for somebody in Korea to write down, they would write down basically their twins, exact same environment.
Yeah.
So the Beatles is the same. Some people say Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos are the most successful people in history. You should be aware that's not true, right? The Rockefellers, the Carnegies, JP Morgan, all of those people were much more successful back in 1839 or 1835 or 1837. That's when steel started, electricity started, banking generally really started. And so you guys have this mobile life and internet and globalization, the ability to travel, and online education. You guys, a lot of research says you have more potential to be successful than Bill Gates. So please use that information wisely. No matter what you do, if you put in 10,000 hours, the research says you will be successful. How many people have heard of this 10,000 hours before? Eloise, are you trying to get 10,000 hours of deliberate practice in something right now, Eloise?
No.
Terrible, terrible. So you don't want to be a specialist?
No, I want to be a specialist because I will want to see a lot of things of my work, my life. So I want to be a specialist.
A bum.
For now, I want to be.
Oh, just a second. What you're saying is not making sense. I want you to argue respectfully. Sometimes I'm going to use bad words. Maybe I might be a little bit rude or blunt. I'm sorry for that. But I want you to think about what you're saying. You want to be a specialist, but you haven't started to try to become a specialist in anything, which means you're not becoming a specialist, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to this idea here, right? This idea, you're doing a bunch of classwork. The teacher's telling you to do something, but you do it, and then at the end of the day, that stuff gets thrown out. Is it being used to make you a better future? If you develop that stuff now, here's a bigger picture of it. Last year, you studied many classes. If you just listen to some strange professor doing something, each year you're going to start at zero. But if you make your class papers for your specialty, like Gulcano is developing something for her future career, and Arthur's developing something for his future career, whatever we do for the next 4 months, it will help him. And next year, it will still help him. He is more of a specialist than people that don't do that. So start trying to interact with companies. And even if you don't know what you want to do it anyway. Try to be a specialist anyway, and you can put that in your resume. When you apply for any job, the person looking at your resume having a publication, you will be more impressive than somebody that doesn't have a publication. If you help a company and develop a relationship just by surveying the company, you will have a better chance of getting hired or working with that company than somebody that doesn't. So that stuff should be not just clear to you, right, Eloise? You should be doing it. Do it in class.
I understand.
Okay. Let's get into the next part. So we understand most of those ideas. The idea of the 10,000 hours. What about Elo Dilans? What about you? What are you becoming a specialist in? How many hours have you started to work towards your 10,000 hours, which will make you world famous and successful?
I don't really start.
Terrible.
I mean, I try to. Okay.
No excuses. No excuses. You do it
Okay.
or you don't, right? Are you really trying?
I mean, I want to, like, my dream job is to give advice for companies, and so at international, I mean, and so I start to write a paper about how to do business in Korea, for example, that I can be useful for companies that want to export them in Korea, for example.
Good. So you have started. Last class, you and I talked about this, and I told you to contact a few different organizations, right? Do you remember those? It was you that I was talking about. You should talk to the embassy. Remember?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. Anybody that wants to do international trade or consulting and things like that, you should and there's several people from Uzbekistan, I believe, in the class. I highly suggest anybody from outside of Korea, you have to do a term paper for our class. And if you contact your embassy, you should know that your embassy, easily 75% of all embassy work is developing reports to help companies expand into Korea. So if Vincent, did you say you're from France or Belgium or something?
Yeah, France.
So you're from France. So
yeah,
there's millions of French companies that might want to do business in Korea. So you could write your class report and almost sell it to the French embassy here or the Korean embassies or Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they can use it in Paris. That type of thing, your class paper could help with that. What about you, Laura? I haven't heard from you today. What are you not only just doing for your 10,000 hours, but what are you doing to make your life truly successful? And what is successful for you?
Actually, the only thing where I'm losing all the hours of my day is searching an internship when I will be back in France.
So you are using your time to plan
Search a
something
job.
that you're not using now.
Exactly. That's perfect.
And can you evaluate that? If you were the professor, what would you say to somebody that told you that?
Good luck.
No, come on, think deeper. That means you're not actually doing anything of value today. Today goes by and you read, but you're not actually helping you get closer to your results. Again, the biggest idea is you want to do something maybe in France and you're thinking later, or Vincent and Arthur and all of these guys, they're thinking, okay, in the future, I want something. Well, why later? Why in the future? Why don't you do it now? Everybody is living online right now. You and I are online.
Yeah, but I don't want something online.
Actually, I can say I'm working for my future because I'm searching a job and this job will help me to have my goal.
So why don't you do a job now? Start your own job.
I'm searching.
No, I mean, do it. Like I say, use the class paper to become a consultant. Use the class paper to develop your experience in any job you want. Start selling your class paper to companies like the embassy or some company that wants to. What type of dream do you have? What do you want to do eventually back in France?
Eventually back in France, I would like to work in finance in luxury.
Okay, so several students have talked to me about almost the exact same thing, but some of the other students, they said they are going to do a term project talking about Louis Vuitton and finance or marketing related to something. So they're doing the class paper on that. So they're developing something they can put in their resume. After they finish the paper, they give it to me. I give you a grade. You will forget about your grade probably in 6 months. And then while your paper, if most students goes in the garbage, your paper can go onto your resume and make you even better to get a better job in finance and luxury. And in today, while you research some finance or research some Louis Vuitton or whatever company, you could start interacting with them today. You do realize that you applying in France, are you from France?
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
But
So
I'm searching a job in Paris.
Okay, so if you are a European and apply as a European for a job in Europe, you have a lot of competition. You are normal. You are not really special. But here in Korea, there's only a few people like you. So those luxury brands would be more interested in hiring you here than back in Paris or France.
No,
right?
I cannot stay here. That's not possible.
No. You're not. You're finding many reasons why not. But my point is, if you start doing it now, it will help you a lot more than if you just read and apply for a job later. I almost guarantee you, if you start contacting those companies today with our class research project, contact them, start making some research project paper for them now, and then you'll have a relationship with them. If you do work well, they may hire you to be an intern now, and you could get promoted for a full-time job here now, and then get transferred back to the office in Paris as an executive, not a new university graduate. I did it. When I first came to Korea 25 years ago, there were not a lot of foreigners, just like today. And so I could just walk up, and I did. When I first landed, I was walking on the sidewalk and I saw this big, beautiful building. And I just walked in. I didn't even know what the building was. I saw there was a sign for the CEO. I just started walking towards the door. The front doorman said, hey, who are you? Do you have an appointment? I said, I'm going to see the CEO. My name is Sean.Watts. And he's like, he never saw that before, so he let me go. I walked into the CEO. I started saying I can consult him about international business and trade and stuff. And he hired me like that. And that was just during a lunch break. So I got that consulting job just by walking in. There are many, many Korean companies that want to do business in Switzerland or in France, especially related to finance, right? So go talk to those companies here now. And at the same time, that luxury brand like Louis Vuitton probably wants to expand, but they don't have a lot of the European people here now. You might be able to get a job easier here than there. So again, the idea is, don't wait till later. Don't just plan for doing something later. Do something today, because your time disappears. If you're passionate about luxury or passionate about finance, you can put that together and start going through identifying careers that might match you, that we've talked about, the jobs that might match you. How many people have gone through this? Is there anybody that can tell me what is your code? Or what is your experience with this? Nobody in class. Okay, so again, this is famous. It's called the Jung typology test, Carl Jung, or the Briggs-Meyer test indicator. If you go to this website, www.humanmetrics.com, it's very easy. I encourage all of you, maybe for homework, either present a Scopus article next class and I'll give you bonus points, or you tell me what is your 16 what is your code for one of the 16 different personality types. And next class I can show you, I have 50 pages of notes that I've been keeping just about me and my wife and all of my kids. And so those things will tell them which jobs match them. And shockingly, it's more accurate than when I went through these other things. An expert in this, you can own real estate and get paid to buy it. No, I didn't say you pay to buy it. I said somebody will pay you to take ownership of some real estate, because the financial details are complicated. So this can help start understanding those details. This other book, The 4-Hour Workweek, almost anybody that really wants to be successful, this is a simple type of comic book, but it's common sense that most people just don't do. Like Laura talks about, yeah, I want to be successful in finance, but I'm not doing it now. I will start in 3 or 4 years. Do it now. Like this comic book tells you many things that you could start today to start making money with, or an example of what we're talking about. So the other thing is, how many people have heard that starting a business is hard and starting a business is very risky, and most people that start a business go bankrupt, or most people fail in a new business? So Kakao, you've heard that. Can you tell me what did you hear? How many businesses fail? Or what is the chance of success? What is here specifically, what is the likelihood that anybody that starts will be successful for more than 5 years? What do you think?
I also read the same thing, more 5 years, and 10% of the people the business can live, but 80% fail. So
you think 80% die or fail. Okay, Arthur, you had your hand up. What percent of businesses are likely to survive and be successful beyond 5 years?
I've seen like in France, I don't know if it's everywhere the same thing, but like 20% of the business like remain, and they are like successful, sorry. Others are like not successful, but they can remain, and the remainings are not remaining at all.
Okay. What I want to point out is good or bad. You know how I talked at the beginning of class, you need to know what is a good reference, what is a bad reference, what is reliable information, what's not reliable information. People that just talk, gossip, that's not reliable. A lot of people are working for somebody else. They're working in a company as staff, as an employee. The people that are successful are the owners. The people that want to be an owner but are not, usually, how do they feel when they see somebody else starting something? They might get excited, but then they realize why I don't do it myself, and then they might get jealous. And sometimes, what is it called with an internet troll? They start saying bad things. Oh, you're going to fail. So the reality is people that talk are usually full of shit. Look at the statistics, look at the facts. The reality is, if you're serious, you write things down. Every one of you should be serious about your future, but if you haven't written down a plan or steps to get your goals, then you're really not that serious, because it's not hard to type out or write down a few details about how to get your dreams, right? And so write down your business plan. If you write down some plan, and like I say, I've already showed you, I have hundreds, thousands of books related to this. Almost all books on entrepreneurship or business startup, I summarize them saying a business plan is 100 to 150 reasonable questions and answers. Most people don't think about your future beyond 20 questions. 10 questions is easy. 20 questions is harder. 50 questions, that's a lot more thought. Like, it's got to be a good question, not a stupid question. And so if you go through 100 questions, you've thought about it more than almost anybody else. And if you actually have a reasonable answer and you're still interested in it, do it, because you know more than anybody else. And that also relates to investing. Like Laura and her luxury finance, just start writing down these questions. What does anybody in luxury finance need, or what's important? And start writing out those details. How can I learn more? How can I be successful? What skills or qualifications do I need? Start getting those now. And you should realize, especially with luxury, that qualifications and degrees and diplomas are far less valuable than who you know, especially with luxury. If you know people that are connected, it's crazy what you can do. So just start developing that stuff. Here is stats. Here are facts from the Canadian government. The Canadian government, www. Stats Canada, the Canadian Ministry of Industry Statistics They say for all new businesses, likelihood of survival, 89% likely to survive beyond 5 years for businesses in finance and insurance. 88% of business in real estate or insurance are likely to survive beyond 5 years. Even you want to get into fishing and trapping, I don't know, wild dogs or something. 89% of fishing companies in Canada are likely to be successful beyond 5 years. So if you, this report, I can give you the report. The report's over 100 pages long. It's from the government. And the bottom lesson is be serious, write things down. The people that take things more seriously, the people that start writing a plan, they are far more successful than the people that aren't. And usually in Canada, to start a business, you need to show you want to borrow money from a bank, you have to show them your business plan. So you have to have something written down. As soon as you have that, you're much more likely to succeed. And everything. Gulkano, didn't you say the opposite? 80% likely to fail? Well, this is a fact, not gossip. Where did you get your information? Was it just, I heard a friend that told a friend that told a friend? Or was it some site
from the website? I cannot remember, but when I'm doing the research, I read this one. Not one time, but many times I read.
Okay, a lot of people will say it, but most of that is coming from people that are not really making a business plan. They're saying, for example, in Korea, a lot of people will make a new business tomorrow. If you give me a good idea today, some people will invest $1 million and start it tomorrow. That is not smart. That is not doing what Laura is doing as far as planning and writing details down and researching. You should research, at least 50 questions and reasonable answers. Here, they think if it's a decent idea, they will start it immediately. That's the popular way to do it. Without a business plan, yeah, those are likely to fail. But do you really call that a serious business? They've invested serious money, but I don't say it's a serious business. It's just an expensive rich person's gamble. So be aware of those details. Any questions about that? If you want, I can show you these results. Again, the probability values indicate that there are only modest differences in survival rates of new firms in any industry and in any part of Canada. The highest success rate with likelihood of survival is 86% in Ontario, where Toronto and Ottawa is, and the lowest is still 82% out in the middle of iceberg land by Greenland. So finance and insurance has the highest survival rate with 89%, together with fishing and trapping. So please start arguing with it. Please start asking questions about this. What about money? Most students that I talk to and teach, they're usually thinking about money is the sign of success. They want a lot of money. And so I highly push you to learn details. Laura, you said you want to get into luxury and finance. Are you learning a lot of finance now? Are you applying to loans? You don't have to get a loan, but apply for the loan or apply for these different programs. How to develop a new business or how to develop new advertising. That practice of working with the money, working with the finance, the more you do, the more you're going to learn, especially as a foreigner here. So start learning the idea of investing and the idea of real estate or stocks. And what is this next word? Can somebody identify what I mean by passive income? Julie, can you guess what does passive income mean?
It's like when you have a lot of money, but you didn't do nothing. No.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, people like Bill Gates, he has so much money in the bank, he doesn't have to work anymore, and just the money keeps coming to him. Yeah, that's right. But what about you? Can you have, maybe your dad is Jeff Bezos. That would be cool. You're buying the drinks tonight. But if you're just a normal person like me, Why should you be trying to get passive income today? Versus what's the opposite? Most people, most sheep, they follow other people and they get a job in a company where they're making money for some other CEO. That is active living, active work. You're working to make money is different than passive income. Can anybody, Gulcano, did you have your hand up? Did you want to try to explain? No? Julie, did you have more information? Can you describe it for your classmates? How can your classmate get it? You have people coming to the rescue.
I didn't.
Many of your classmates have their hands up if you want to let Arthur or Jessica comment. Jessica, did you want to comment?
I guess passive income is something like, for example, if you have a lot of flats or something and you get the money just by owning them, and
if you have lots
you don't have to actually work for it, but you can concentrate on other stuff like education or something while still getting money to, let's say, just to live or something.
Yes, that book I talked about, the 4-Hour Work Week, he talks about how you can develop a business system. So Gulcano, you're talking about developing your own company. Great. The best business plan in the world, in my opinion, is a business plan that you do not have to work at. A business plan that you make a system that will operate and make money for you. And so that idea is passive income. Something that will give money to you without you having to go to a company and work 9 to 5. Big difference between working for money and getting money or getting ideas to make money for you. Two completely different things. The rich and the wealthy get the idea to make money, not work for money. And you can start at that at any age. The smartest, my dad was a medical doctor and I started studying medicine, so I wasn't focused on business at the beginning. One of the best dad business things I saw was a friend at my first university. His father basically didn't give him any money, but when he started university, the father agreed to sign a mortgage payment as a guarantor so the son could buy the house he was going to live at university. And then you study for 3 years, 4 years, or 6 years, or 10 years, whatever. And after 4 years, having his classmates and roommates living with him, paying him rent, he actually owned the building and he was rich. And it cost him basically nothing because his classmates paid the deposit for rent, and that deposit was used for the down payment to buy it from the bank. So that type of idea is basically passive income. The rental money can be used to buy the item from the bank. And at the same time, if you have tenants, that tenant's working every day, paying rent every month, you don't work, but that is the only real thing that I see to make somebody wealthy from nothing. And you can start that at subletting, right? There are laws saying you can't do some things, and especially with finance. But the more you know details, you will realize that a lot of people only understand what other people say and don't really understand. And so these laws, I have found that you could rent some place and then sublet it to somebody else in certain situations, and they could give you a profit, and it costs you nothing. Eventually, if you can own the place or get deposits to own it, that's even better. Overall, this cartoon, how many of you have invested in anything so far? How many of you have investments in the stock market or in cryptocurrencies or anything? None of you have invested yet? Jessica, are you confident enough? Would you like to talk about what you're starting to invest in? You don't have to talk about how. Go ahead.
I started to have a few shares. Is it the right?
Okay, yes, you own part
so
of a company.
Basically I have a friend who's really into it, and he explained me a little bit, so I started to buy some, but only on like long-term view, nothing like fast selling.
Good.
So
Long-term boring is good. Let's look at the reality. That actually answers. Why is sexy bad? I know you guys think I'm sexy, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sexy news is bad. Scopus research articles, it takes sometimes a year to make them, and they're usually boring. You don't usually go to a party with university friends and talk about these Scopus research papers. You talk about some crazy, sexy story like Tesla going up and down or Bitcoin going up and down. Well, those things that you talk about them because they're changing every day. And the fact that it's changing every day, doesn't that show you that it's dangerous? For example, real estate, the price of a house, it doesn't usually change overnight. You buy a house today, 1 year later, it's at the most 10 to 20% difference in price. So it's not changing a lot, even in 365 days. And rent, many countries, they have laws, you can't change the rent more than 2% or 5%. So it's not new, it's not exciting, it's boring. That is why people don't talk about it. They talk about the stock markets that are going up and down, the new stories. That's why stocks get a lot of talk, but real estate does not. So I wanted to show you this simple thing. Have I showed you this chart before? Has anybody seen something like this before, where you could be in a property and have somebody else help you pay for the property? This is the idea of the rich dad, poor dad, for example. Whether you buy the property, which is obviously best, or just rent the property, if you rent sort of a bigger place and you just take up one part and then rent it out or sublet it to somebody else, and that other person helps pay the bills, you could live for free and maybe make a small profit. If you become the owner and get the contract, you can get the other person to pay to buy it for you every month. And in Canada, the average house price in Ottawa, Canada's capital, it's going up 20% each year. So if you buy something today, next year it's 20% more. If it's a $100,000 house, it's $20,000 more. And you can use that to buy another house. And so after 1 year, somebody buys you a house, and then from that one house, you can buy 2 more houses in 1 year. And then in the second year, you could have those 3 houses buying houses for you, all with the idea of passive income, somebody else's investment helping you.
I did that when I worked in Australia. So basically, I had an apartment. I rent an apartment, and then I kind of like let people to live in my apartment, and they pay all of the rent. So basically, I live for free there. It saves a lot of money. Normally in Sydney, you have to pay for like $200 for 1 week. But I was living.
That's actually, sorry, continue your idea. But in Canada and United States and in some parts of Korea, like in Seoul, a student housing, usually it's about $400 per bedroom, almost anywhere in the world. A lot of places in the world. Isn't that funny? It's the exact same price in Canada as Australia. Sorry, go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, but so that's it for renting. I think it's pretty easy. But how about buying a property? Because if you want to, even when you want to buy a property, you need to have like deposit, like
No, you don't.
in the beginning.
Most people do, but no, you don't. I'll explain a little bit more about that if you want. But
that's just the regulation.
Sorry?
Is that the government regulation? So you don't basically.
Laura, I hope you're listening very carefully. You understand that if you want to buy a car, you need a down payment and then you borrow a loan. Well, if you want to buy a house, almost every bank in the world knows that house is safety. So whenever you're borrowing money to buy a house, that's called a mortgage, the bank is going to give you some money, but then the bank controls the house for safety, right? That's the same way everywhere in the world. And so there in Canada, it's very easy to just have 5% and borrow 95%. United States, it's 10%. Korea, it's anywhere from 20% to 60%. Some places in other countries, you need more. That is normal. But every one of you, I hope I'm not too old, you have heard of 2008, the global financial crisis, right? The housing and mortgage crisis. That idea, most people should remember, they were talking about the zero down mortgages, zero down payment mortgages, zero down financing. So many banks get profit from customers borrowing money and then just paying interest. They don't really care who you are as long as you're going to start paying. And if they believe that the price of the house is going to go up, they will let anybody take it, because every day, every month, every year that goes by, the bank has control of it. You miss one payment and the bank owns it. Everything they've paid, the bank is protected and could sell it at a discount and still make profit. Anyway, you can't, the idea for Laura and finance, there are ways where you can buy things for zero money. And Oklahoma is one example. 203B is another example. These are financing packages that most people don't know of, but if you dig into them, you will learn that, for example, when you borrow money to buy a house, you also could understand that the government will give you money to fix the house so you're energy efficient. In France or in Switzerland, does the government want every building to be energy efficient? Probably everywhere, right? And if you have a very old furnace or you use a lot of electricity, the government probably has loans to help you fix up your house or to put solar panels on your house. So if you use those loans for upgrading the house together with the loans to buy the house, you could actually borrow more than the price of the house. And if you do some of the work, you could get paid to be the owner of a new house. I've done it a couple of times. So it's not normal, it's not popular, but the more you learn about it, the better. So make sure you understand there's many different types of investors. There's many different types of financing. There's many different types of businesses in life. Young urban professionals, or the DINKs, double income, no kids, young families, midlife crisis. Most people start later, not early. But regardless of these different lifestyles, goals, wealth levels, you should be questioning everything and try to master the details. Find out what you want to be an expert in and become a master, become a specialist in it now in our class. And then next year, like if this year you don't know what you want to do or you don't know very much, that's okay. Start every day thinking about it. Tomorrow you're going to learn more. And the next month, you're going to learn more. You're going to know more. And so as time goes by, you will be more of a specialist and more likely to be successful. This picture that I'm showing you was one of my students several years ago. His name is Carl Mancini. You can check him out on Facebook. He started with me, and he was just a poor English teacher in Korea. And within about 4 years, he was able to buy property. Very quickly, he was able to buy properties, but within 4 years, he was able to retire. He is now living in Nicaragua, surfing on beaches every day. Eloise, when you think of retiring, how much money do you think you need to retire? And Gregoire, same thing for you. Ulukbek, how much money do you think you need to stop working?
I don't know, but I'm thinking for a while future, I want to stop working. I want working for myself. So money, I have a lot of money. It's cool, but working is cool for mind and for the body. So I want to stop working.
Can you give me a price, a number,
But
Gregoire?
actually, in France, it's a little bit different. We have a retirement fee, where retirement money from the states.
No, that's not what I asked.
Yeah, so 1 or 2 million. 1 million is enough, totally enough.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. If you invest this money,
if you're focused on that, you're hurting yourself because you don't understand the details. Does anybody understand what I'm trying to explain? Almost everybody in the world will repeat what Gregoire said. But that is the hard way of going through life. How many people go ahead, Laura? You're the good financial expert. What are we talking about here, Laura?
Just like just my opinion would be I don't need 1 billion or 1 million or whatever you want. I just need a house where I have and can do my own business when I will be old. I mean,
okay,
I don't
give me a number. How much do you need to live? I think Gregoire was saying
live without money. You can just plant your
salad. Happily. How much do you need to retire? I think Gregoire said $1 million. Is that correct?
Oh, euro, maybe.
Okay, €1 million. Potato. Somebody, Vincent, can you explain what Laura is talking about? She is not trying to get this big bus or truck full of cash that most people in the world think they need.
Yeah, but I am the same point of view as Laura. I think each month I need to pay all my fees, so I think something like
what he just said is the answer. What he just said is the answer. Please continue.
Me?
Vincent.
I don't know how many I need. Just pay what I need to do, pay my house, pay for maybe for my future child, for little child again. I don't know. For my health too, so I something like 10,000 each month, and I'm okay.
10,000 euro or $10,000 per month?
Okay. Potato, it's okay.
Potato. Hua was saying that she could live in a place and the rent was $400 per month. So if $400 is your housing, how much do you need to pay for food? Let's say $200 is reasonable. Paying more than $400, paying more on food than that is getting possible. And you could survive, right? You don't need to go to work. What Gregoire was talking about, $1 million, that is something that most people plan to try to get, and most people do not. And so their whole life is investing uphill that dream, that idea that we were talking about. Where is it here? They're planning, eventually, I'm going to have $1 million. But I don't have it yet. I don't have $1 million, so I must keep working. What Vincent said is, as long as I have $400 for rent and $400 for food, $800, less than $1,000 a month, I could live comfortably. Now, do you understand? As long as you have something giving you $1,000 every month, you don't have to work anymore. You are retired.
But then your life has no meaning.
No, absolutely the opposite. Then you can focus on what you love. It's the opposite. Even Park, you're going crazy. Either you're doing breakdancing or you want to explain to the class. Can you explain, Miss Park?
Me?
Yebin Park. She was doing some fancy dancing.
No, I'm just agree what you have said.
What do you agree with?
If you have $1,000 a month, you can do what you love instead of working.
Right. Yes. Arthur, you were going to say something?
Yeah. Like from the moment you have enough like passive incomes to live, you can do whatever you want, whatever you love, and that's like truly happiness.
Yes.
But what if what if what you want is working? So your work is your passion and the meaning of
That's got nothing to do with it.
No.
Right? That it could be related, but what we're talking about is when can you stop working? I'm not saying you have to stop. I'm saying you can stop. The only difference is if you have $1,000 a month coming in, you don't have any more stress. You can work, but you don't have to. And so you do the work for something you love versus many, many people that will work for Samsung or work for Hyundai and they hate their boss, but they keep doing it because they need that $1,000 paycheck. But if you have that $1,000 coming in passive income from like a rental income property or stock market dividends, then you don't have to work for Samsung. You only work for Samsung. You can continue to work for Samsung only because you love it. Understand the big difference? Gregoire, you talk to me, fight with me, give me a black eye. What do you think, Gregoire? How does that change your idea of the $1 million?
Not at all changing my ideas. I still want what I want.
Oh, okay, but you understand that if you keep doing something and only plan to retire after you have $1 million in cash, you're going to be a lot more stressed than somebody that gets this passive income and then they can do anything they love. They can keep working, but they don't have to. And they can usually, when you have that, your wealth grows much faster than just saving month by month.
But how do we have that passive income?
For example, you take
so
over.
We are students.
You, as you did in Australia, you can rent a big house with many rooms and rent out the other rooms. Maybe one bedroom will pay the rent and the extra bedroom will pay you a profit. And then from that, you can get another place to rent and sublet and another place and another place. Eventually, you can find owners of places that will sell their property to you. So they will be the bank. They will be that mortgage provider. And so instead of paying rent, you're paying actually the mortgage payments to own it. And you can still get these other bedrooms paying those mortgage payments. Most people don't think like that, though. So I'm just trying to get you to question everything. Look at the big picture and make sure you become a specialist or a master of your own details. A lot of people, you've probably all heard the difference between compound interest, right? Is there anybody that needs explanation of what is compound interest? If you put your money into a bank, it generally gets no interest. If you put it into something that has compound interest, it grows much, much faster. So fast that most people at your age, if you start investing now and only invest for 6 years, you will have more money than if you start when you're 30 years old and continue investing from 31, 32, 33 every year for the next 35 years of investing. You still will not have as much money as if you invest just for 6 years when you're young.
I think with 10% of interest is pretty high. I think in Vietnam it's normally around 6 or 7%.
Okay, I'm not talking about a bank account interest rate. I'm talking usually when people learn about details, they are investing. And usually you don't invest in a bank. Banks give you almost no profit, almost no interest. So if you invest in the stock market, the average stock market from 1929 until today, it's about 11% profit. But it's more than 17% risk. It's going up and down, standard deviation. Real estate is almost the exact same profit, but almost no risk, almost no up and down, because the price of a house doesn't usually change, and the rentals almost usually never change. So the idea of if you invest now, that 18-year-old, each year it's worth about $75,000. as you wait, as Laura waits, each 1 year of waiting, Laura is saying, bye-bye, 75,000 euro. Is that okay, Laura? Is your dad Jeff Bezos? No problem? Make sure you're aware of those details. And I have made a joke here. Some people, the challenge is you think it's hard to save money. But if you're planning for the future, how much can you save? You think, okay, the next time I get a job, next time I get a paycheck, maybe I can save 5%. So when you start talking about future savings, it gets easier. And then if you just try to put it in your pocket and save it, you will spend it. So make it automatic. Make the online system, as we talked about, a business plan. Soon as you're getting paid a paycheck, get your bank to automatically take 5% out and put it into a different bank account where you do not touch it or invest it. So that would be compound interest or proper investment. Most people, they just put it into a sock account and it doesn't grow. So don't waste your money in an old sock. There's many types of investments: bonds, stocks, GICs, fund indexes, which are usually a lot more reliable than stocks. Stocks are much, much higher risk. Real estate is one of the only things that some stranger will give you money to help you retire. Real estate and a very few number of stocks will pay you money to retire. Does anybody know what I'm talking about there? One of our classmates said you invested in some stocks, but 99% of people, they make money, like in January, they put money into the stock market. And then in February, they put more money in. But if they stop putting money in, it stops really growing. It's just slowly growing. Hopefully that company grows well. Like Tesla is crazy good, and that's just growing. But most people, if you don't invest, you don't get it. But there is a type of stock where you can invest a little bit and somebody else will keep investing to get you richer. Do you know of that? When you invest, whoever said you're starting to invest, that is when you work for a company that has the stock matching programs. So if you work for a company and you buy that company stock, sometimes the company will match you. And if you take 10% of your pay and buy, like if you work for Samsung and every month you put 10% of your salary back into Samsung to get stock, Samsung will double it. And so you buy one stock, but Samsung will give you two. Next month, you buy another one and Samsung will give you another one free. That's one of the only ways that somebody else will help you retire. But even then, as soon as you stop working, it goes away. Real estate, you only need the deposit, and the tenants could pay every month forever. So it doesn't have to be real estate. It could be art. It could be a luxury car. It could be a Rolex watch. Those types of things. Just start thinking how you can invest in yourself and the education and financial literacy today.
How about insurance? Is that a safe investment? Life insurance?
Any comments here? Julie, do you
life
think
insurance is not like you're investing money if something is happening to you?
can you explain that a little more, Grégoire?
Like you're putting money every month, and like this is like in case of something happening to you, like you're getting a huge compensation.
You do know that in Korea, the popular life insurance, many people, they will either pay monthly, like Grégoire said, or they can put in something like $10,000 or $100,000 into life insurance and just let that sit. But in Korea, it's considered like a dividend stock. So as you're investing in life insurance, that company will continue to pay you profit and grow your investment every year. Versus in Europe and in North America, that's very rare. In North America, every month you put your money into an insurance, usually you don't get it back. And even if you do have an accident, a lot of the time they only pay for part of the accident.
I think there's another kind of insurance. My friend work for an insurance company, and he said that if every month I put in an amount of money, and 10 years later, for example, 10 years later, if I don't have any accident, I will get back my money together with like a small amount of profit. But if I get an accident, it would pay for my accident, and the amount of profit will be lower.
Right. You probably won't get profit if you claim something. But yes, this idea, what you're talking about, who can explain how does a stock broker work? If you want to buy stock and you go talk to an agent that tells you invest in this company, how does that agreement work? How do they usually get paid? How many people have invested and are aware of working with stockbrokers? What is the commissions? Nobody's aware of it? Jessica, are you aware of it? Can you explain? Go ahead.
Well, I haven't worked with them, but I think I heard the commissions are like 40% or something. They're pretty high.
40% commissions.
30.
That's 30. 10% is criminal. It should not be that high. In the past, some people would pay 2.5% every time they're going to buy something. 2.5% of what they're going to invest will be kept by that agent or by that broker. And so those brokers, those agents, they generally tell you, invest in anything, because whenever you put your money in, he gets to keep some of it. Let me go through another. I was just going to show this picture that I'm showing you right now. This shows the normal stock from 1952 to 2005. And there's other stories talking about from 1929 to 2015. Stock market usually gets about 12% profit. Real estate gets about 11%. But the risk in stock is more than 3 times the risk of real estate. So that's just one thing. The next thing, if you read this story in detail, it says, if you miss Google or Tesla, if you miss the top 9 stocks, your profit drops from 12% down to 3%. And then the average commission you're usually paying is 2.5% historically. So you're actually the average. If you don't have the world's top 9 stocks, you're getting about 0 profit. So that's just one aspect. The other aspect, I'm trying to find a picture of a big circle here. Yeah, this one. Here is another research article. Can you guys see this? What it's showing is stockbrokers, they have been surveyed. And they've surveyed how often are the stockbrokers saying buy or hold or sell. And it shows that 69% of the time they're saying buy, because no matter what you buy, that broker gets paid. And then only 28% of the time they say just hold. And only 2% of all stockbrokers actually are saying sell. So let's go back to what Hua was saying. If you're going to be buying something from an agent, make sure you think about the details. Make sure you think about, well, what if I invest myself and save my money myself to pay for this accident? For example, if you have a rental property and that property is bought and maybe they're giving a rental cash profit every month, that profit could pay for your medical insurance. And if the house goes up in value 20%, that should be able to pay for much more than the fees. So I'm not saying do not get insurance. And I'm not saying invest in real estate. What I'm saying is check the details. I read too much, a crazy amount. And eventually you start learning enough of the details where you realize that, wow, all these things come together and people are not doing what all these people understand. So put it, is this clear? This circle? Laura, do you understand that? Okay. Now, how is that going to fit when you're working with the luxury people, luxury clients that have crazy amounts, truckloads of cash? That idea that almost every other agent they talk to, 69% of the time, they're just going to be telling those rich clients to buy. So one thing you could do is promote yourself that while other people only have 2% sell, maybe you are telling people the opposite. And you could be famous for telling people to sell more because it's safer. And you could get usually better returns.